Daejun was 3 steps away from the coffee shop door when Raymond Mensa materialized out of absolutely nowhere and fell into step beside him like he had been there the whole time. Daejun stopped walking. Raymond did not stop walking. "Where are you going?" Raymond asked, already holding the door open like he owned the building. "Coffee," Daejun said carefully. "Great," Raymond said. "I want coffee too." Daejun stared at him. "You don't drink coffee. You say it makes your heart race." "I'm branching out," Raymond said, walking inside. Daejun stood on the sidewalk for a full 4 seconds. He looked down the street. He looked back at the door. He looked at the sky like it might offer him some kind of explanation. Then he walked in. Kezia Mensa was already at the counter, laughing at something the barista had said, her head thrown back, her whole body in it the way she laughed at everything completely, with zero reservation. She had on an oversized yellow sweatshirt and her locks were pulled up and she looked like she had absolutely no idea she was destroying someone's ability to think clearly. She turned when she heard the door and her eyes landed on Daejun first, warm and amused. Then slid to her brother. The amusement got bigger. "Raymond," she said. "What are you doing here?" "Supporting local business," Raymond said, stepping up to the counter and squinting at the menu like he had never seen words before. "What's good here?" "You don't drink coffee," Kezia said. That's what Daejun said. "Because it's true." "I'll have a green tea," Raymond announced to the barista. Then he turned, pulled out a chair at the table nearest the counter, sat down, and looked at both of them like this was his plan all along and it was going perfectly. Kezia turned to Daejun. Her eyes were laughing even though her face was straight. Daejun pressed his lips together. This was the 3rd time in 6 days. The 3rd time Raymond had appeared from thin air the moment Daejun happened to be within 10 feet of Kezia. The first time had been at the grocery store on Tuesday. Raymond, who lived on the other side of Atlanta and was supposedly busy with work, had shown up in the cereal aisle with a basket and zero explanation. The second time had been at the community basketball court on Thursday. Raymond had walked up mid-game, sat on the bleachers, and watched Daejun with the focus of a man who had been hired to do exactly that. And now this. Daejun ordered his coffee. He sat down at the table. Raymond sipped his green tea with complete calm. Kezia sat between them, looked from one face to the other, and said absolutely nothing. The silence lasted about 45 seconds. "So," Raymond said pleasantly. "How's life, Daejun?" "Fine," Daejun said. "Good. Good." Raymond nodded. "You been busy?" "Reasonably." "With what?" Daejun looked at his best friend. His best friend of 7 years. The man who had driven 4 hours to help him move apartments. The man who had sat with him in a hospital waiting room for 6 hours without once complaining. The man who was now conducting what was clearly an unofficial interrogation over green tea in a coffee shop. "Work," Daejun said. "Right," Raymond said. "Work." Another silence. Kezia picked up her cup. "This is not weird at all," she said into it, and sipped. It had started 4 weeks ago. Kezia had come up from Atlanta to spend the summer in Washington, D.C. with her brother. She worked remotely, she was a UX designer, so she could do her job from anywhere, and she had wanted a change of scenery. Raymond had a 2-bedroom apartment near DuPont Circle. Daejun lived 12 minutes away. The first time Raymond brought Kezia to one of their usual Friday hangouts, Daejun had been in the middle of a conversation with their friend group when she walked in and said something so precise and so funny about the parking situation outside that 3 people she had never met before laughed immediately. Daejun had turned to look, and then had continued to look for a beat too long. Raymond had noticed. Raymond had said nothing that night, but his eyes had done a full calculation and filed the results somewhere. The second time they were all in the same room, Daejun arrived early to Raymond's apartment and Kezia was in the kitchen making something that smelled extraordinary, and she handed him a spoon to taste without asking and said, "Be honest." And he had been so caught off guard by the casual ease of it that he had given her completely genuine feedback, and they had spent 20 minutes adjusting the seasoning together while Raymond watched from the living room doorway with the expression of a man watching a slow-motion situation he could not stop. By the 3rd week, Raymond had pulled Daejun aside. They were on the balcony. It was evening. Raymond handed Daejun a drink and did not make eye contact for the first several seconds. "I need you to tell me something honestly," Raymond said. "Okay," Daejun said. "Kezia." Daejun said nothing. That's what I thought, Raymond said. I didn't say anything. You didn't have to. Raymond finally looked at him. And his face was not angry exactly. It was something more complicated. Protective in a way that went deep. Daejun, you are my brother in everything except paperwork. I love you. You know that. I know. Which is why I'm telling you this directly. You don't do this. You don't stay. I've watched you. 3 times I've watched you get close to someone and then just not be there anymore. And every single time you had a reason that made sense, and I never said anything because that's your life. He paused. But that is my sister. Daejun was quiet for a moment. The city moved below them. Nothing has happened, he said. Yet, Raymond said. Daejun did not correct him. Raymond pointed at him. That's exactly what I'm talking about. They had stood on that balcony for a while longer after that, not arguing, not resolving anything, just existing in the complicated space that real friendship sometimes required. Raymond had gone inside first. Daejun had stood there a while longer, looking at the city, aware that Raymond was not wrong about his record. Aware also, uncomfortably, that something about this particular situation felt different in a way he did not yet have the right words for. Kezia knew her brother. She had known him for 28 years. She knew the face he made when he was pretending everything was fine. She knew the voice he used when he was genuinely calm versus when he was calm on purpose. She had known within 4 days of arriving that Raymond was performing a level of casual that required significant effort. She had figured out the reason within 6 days. She was not offended. She understood her brother's instinct. She also understood that she was a fully grown adult woman who had navigated her own life with 0 disasters and did not require supervision. So she found the whole situation entertaining in the way you find something entertaining when you know you could shut it down immediately but choose not to because watching it unfold is far more interesting. What she had not expected was Daejun himself. She had heard about him for years. Raymond talked about him the way people talked about people who had become load-bearing walls in their lives, casually, constantly, as though he was just part of the architecture. Daejun said this. Daejun did that. Daejun showed up. In person, he was quieter than she had imagined. He did not perform. He did not try to be impressive. He just was present and attentive in a way that was so unflashy it almost snuck past her. Almost. She noticed the way he listened. Not waiting for his turn to talk. Actually listening, following the thread of what she said, asking questions that proved he had been paying attention. She noticed the way he moved through spaces, unhurried, unbothered. She noticed that he was funny in a completely unexpected way. Dry and precise. The kind of funny that required you to be paying attention to catch it. She had not planned to notice any of that. It was inconvenient. Their mutual friend group, Sana, Seoyeon, and a guy everyone called Bricks whose real name was Antoine, were absolutely useless as neutral parties. Sana had taken one look at the situation and announced, "This is the content I live for," within the first week and had been actively unhelpful ever since. Seoyeon had pulled Daejun aside at a group dinner to tell him that his feelings were visibly radiating off him like a space heater and that he needed to handle it before he combusted. Bricks had approached Raymond with what he described as a peace proposal on Daejun's behalf, without being asked, which Raymond had declined with a look that made Bricks immediately back away and pretend the conversation had never happened. Raymond had also tried recruiting Kezia's friend Lonnie, who had driven up from Virginia to spend a weekend, to act as a social buffer. Lonnie had lasted approximately 3 hours before she texted Kezia privately. "Your brother is unwell, but also I think the Korean guy is genuinely into you, and also he's got good energy. I don't know what to tell you." Kezia had laughed so hard at her phone that Raymond had come into the room to ask what was funny. "Nothing," Kezia had said, still laughing. Life. The coffee shop afternoon ended with Raymond walking them both out to the sidewalk and standing there until Kezia's rideshare arrived. She hugged him, got in the car, and was gone. Raymond and Daejun stood on the sidewalk. Raymond looked at Daejun. Daejun looked at Raymond. "You don't have to do this," Daejun said. "I know what I'm doing," Raymond said. "You're following me around the city with green tea. I like green tea now." Raymond. Daejun. Raymond turned to face him properly. "Tell me something real." Not, "Nothing is happening." Not, "It's fine." Something real. Daejun was quiet for a long moment. A city bus went by. Someone's music from a passing car filled the gap briefly and then faded. I don't know yet what it is, Daejun said carefully. I just know I want to find out. Raymond looked at him for a long time. That's the part that worries me, he said quietly. Because what happens when you figure out what it is and then you leave? He did not wait for an answer. He put his hands in his pockets and walked back toward the coffee shop, probably to return for his green tea, and Daejun stood on the sidewalk and felt the weight of being known so well by someone that they could name your patterns faster than you could. The following Saturday, Sana hosted a rooftop gathering at her apartment complex. Fairy lights, good food, everyone in good spirits. The kind of easy summer evening that made city life feel worth all the things city life cost. Daejun arrived to find Kezia already there, in conversation with Seoyeon, gesturing with a plastic cup and making a point that Seoyeon was enthusiastically agreeing with. Raymond was also there, positioned with architectural precision between the food table and the seating area, which covered approximately 70% of the rooftop's social geography. Daejun picked up a drink, leaned against the wall beside Bricks, and said quietly, "Where can I stand where he is not in my direct line of sight?" Bricks assessed the rooftop slowly. Honestly? Nowhere. He's got good coverage tonight. I think he planned this. Daejun looked at Raymond, who was laughing at something with Priya, appearing completely relaxed and not at all like a man running an interception operation. He absolutely planned this, Daejun said. Later in the evening, Kezia found him in the corner near the railing where he had retreated with his second drink. She leaned against the railing beside him, shoulder almost at his shoulder, looking out at the city. He's getting more sophisticated, she said. I noticed, Daejun said. The rooftop coverage was genuinely impressive. He triangulated, Daejun said. 3 positions. Rotated every 20 minutes. Her expression was open and amused, and something underneath that was slightly more serious. How long are you planning to just let him intercept you? As long as it takes, Daejun said simply. She looked at him for a moment. As long as it takes to what? He met her eyes. To show him he's wrong about me. She did not look away. And if it takes a long time? Then it takes a long time, he said. No drama in it. Just the plain truth. Something shifted in her face. Small, but real. Raymond appeared at Daejun's other side with a plate of food and absolute zero awareness that he had terrible timing. Try the jollof, he said, offering the plate. Sana made it from scratch. Raymond stood between them, eating his food, surveying the rooftop like a general reviewing the field. Kezia caught Daejun's eye across her brother's shoulder. He pressed his lips together to keep from smiling. She looked away quickly for the same reason. Raymond saw none of it. 2 weeks into August, something happened that Raymond had not planned for. Kezia called him. Not a text. A call. At 10:30 at night. Her voice was normal. Steady. But Raymond had known his sister long enough to hear what was underneath steady. What happened? He said immediately. She was quiet for a second. A project I spent 4 months on just got shelved. The client pulled out. No warning, no conversation. Just gone. Raymond sat up. Kezia. I'm fine, she said. I'm just a pause. I needed to hear a familiar voice. I'm coming over. You don't have to. I'm coming over. He was already standing. He grabbed his keys. He reached for his jacket. He checked his phone for a rideshare. And then he stopped. Because Daejun's name was already on his screen. Daejun had texted 30 seconds after Kezia's call to Raymond, a message that said, Is Kezia okay? She posted something and deleted it, and I just want to know she's alright. Raymond stared at his phone. He read the message 3 times. He thought about the fact that Daejun had noticed something Raymond's own sister had not told him yet. Something small enough that Raymond himself had almost missed it. And instead of doing anything with it, instead of using it as a reason to reach out to Kezia directly, Daejun had gone to Raymond first. He sat back down on the edge of his bed. He did not reply immediately. He called his sister back. I'm on my way, he told her. You want me to bring anything? Salt and vinegar chips, she said. Disgusting flavor, but okay. She made a sound that was almost a laugh. He hung up. Looked at Daejun's message again. Typed back, she's okay. Bad work day. I've got her. Daejun replied immediately, good. Tell her the project was probably beneath her anyway. Raymond read that. Shook his head slowly. He did not know what to do with that. He thought about it for 3 days. He went back through the last 4 weeks in his head the way you reread a document when you think you might have missed something. He thought about every time Daejun had shown up to something. The way he listened when Kezia talked. The way he never pushed. The way he had stood on the sidewalk outside the coffee shop and said, "I want to find out, not I want her, I want to find out." Like she was a person worth understanding rather than an outcome to chase. He thought about the text at 10:30 at night. He thought about what Sanaa had said to him 2 weeks ago, quietly, while they were cleaning up after her rooftop gathering. "Raymond, I love you, but I need you to consider the possibility that you are protecting Kezia from something that isn't actually a threat." He had waved that off at the time. He was considering it now. He found Daejun at the basketball court on a Wednesday morning. Daejun was shooting free throws alone, which was a thing he did when he was working something out in his head. Raymond had known this for years. He pulled up a chair from the bleachers and sat it courtside and watched until Daejun noticed him and stopped. Daejun retrieved the ball and held it. Looked at Raymond. "You're not intercepting anything today," Raymond said. "I just want to talk." He looked at the court. "Tell me what's different." Daejun did not pretend not to understand the question. "With Kezia?" "With you." "About this. What's different?" A pause. "I'm not trying to impress her," Daejun said. "I don't feel like I need to perform anything." He paused. Chose the words carefully. "She sees everything. She doesn't let anything slide by. And instead of that making me want to back up, it makes me want to stay in the room." Raymond was quiet. "The other times," Daejun continued, "when I left, it wasn't careless. I just got to a point where I realized what I was feeling wasn't deep enough to build something real on. And I thought that was honest. Leaving before it became something that hurt someone." He looked at his hands. "But I understand that from outside. It just looked like I don't stay." "It did," Raymond said. "I know. You put 3 people through that, Daejun. I know that too." Raymond looked at him. "So, what makes you think this is different? What do you actually know right now that you didn't know those other times?" Daejun was quiet for a long moment. Long enough that a bird landed near the foul line and pecked at something and flew away before he spoke. "I know that I texted you the night she was upset instead of reaching out to her directly," he said. "Because I didn't think it was my place yet. I know that I've spent 4 weeks finding reasons to be in the same space as her without once pushing her to give me anything she wasn't ready to give." He paused. "I know that I think about her when nothing reminds me of her. And that has never happened to me before." The court was quiet. Raymond looked away. He rubbed his face with one hand. "I hate that, that makes sense," he said. Daejun said nothing. "She's not someone you get to practice on," Raymond said. His voice was low and direct. Not angry. Serious in the way that meant he was choosing every word. "She's not a phase or a summer thing or something you're curious about. She is my sister, and she is the realest person I know, and she deserves someone who knows exactly what they're walking into." "I know," Daejun said. "I'm not walking in blind. I'm walking in carefully." Raymond looked at him for a long time. Then he picked up the basketball that had rolled near his feet. He stood. He walked to the foul line. He shot. It went in cleanly. He walked to retrieve it. Turned. Threw it to Daejun. "If you hurt her," Raymond said, "I will make your life significantly difficult." Daejun caught the ball. "I know. I mean it. Raymond. I know. I'm still watching." "I assumed," Daejun said. "Good." Raymond turned and walked toward the court exit. He stopped halfway. Without turning around, he said, "She likes the farmer's market on Sunday mornings. She's usually there by 9. Then he kept walking. Daejun stood at the foul line holding the basketball. He looked at the empty court. He smiled slow and full, in the way people smile when something they were not sure they deserved actually arrives. Sunday morning. The DuPont Circle Farmers Market. 8:57 a.m. Daejun was standing near a honey vendor trying to look like he was very interested in honey when Kezia arrived, locks down, sunglasses on, canvas tote bag over her shoulder, iced coffee already in hand. She spotted him in approximately 4 seconds. She stopped walking. She looked at him, then at the honey, then back at him. "Are you a honey person?" she asked. "I could be," he said. She walked over, looked at the display. The vendor, sensing nothing about the situation, began explaining the different varieties enthusiastically. They spent 11 minutes learning about honey. When they finally walked away from the stall, Daejun holding a small jar of wildflower honey he had not needed but bought anyway. Kezia looked at him sideways. Did Raymond tell you I'd be here? She asked. Yes, he said. No hesitation. She nodded slowly. How did that happen? We talked, he said. On Wednesday. About me. About me, he said. He wanted to know what was different. I told him. She was quiet for a moment, walking slowly beside him past a produce stall. What did you tell him? The truth, Daejun said. That I think about you when nothing reminds me of you. That I'm not here because it's convenient or because it's summer. That I would like the chance to figure out what this is properly. With you knowing that's what I'm doing. Kezia stopped walking. He stopped too. Turned to face her. Her sunglasses were on so he could not fully see her eyes, but her face had gone still in the way faces go still when something real lands. Daejun, she said. Yes. Raymond has been following you around the entire city. I know. Green tea. I know. And you just kept showing up. Yes. She looked at him for a moment. Then she reached up and pushed her sunglasses up onto her head. Her eyes were exactly as direct as they always were. Maybe more. I don't do casual either, she said. Just so we're clear. I'm not interested in figuring it out halfway and then it becoming nothing. If you're in, be in. If you're not sure, then say that now. I'm in, he said. Simple. No performance. She looked at him a moment longer. Then she held out her hand. Not dramatically. Just held it out. Matter of fact. Like a decision made. He took it. They walked through the farmer's market on a Sunday morning in August, her iced coffee in one hand, his wildflower honey in the other, their hands connected between them like something that had found where it belonged. 3 weeks later, Raymond was at Daejun's apartment for their usual Friday hangout. Everyone was there. Sana, Seoyeon, Brix, Kezia. At some point in the evening, Raymond was in the kitchen getting a drink and Kezia came in to refill something. He looked at her. She looked at him. You good? He asked. Better than good, she said. He nodded. Looked at his drink. He texted me that night, Raymond said. The night your project fell through. Before I even called you back. Kezia looked at him. I know. He told me. Raymond looked at the wall for a second. He went to me first. Didn't go around me. I know. Raymond nodded. One more time. Like something settling. I still think he's annoying, he said. Kezia laughed. Loud. Fully. From the living room, they heard Daejun's voice. I can hear you. Good, Raymond called back. Sana's voice from the living room. This is what I have been waiting all summer for. Brix, someone please write this down. Seoyeon, I already am. Kezia and Raymond stood in the kitchen, and Raymond was doing everything possible to suppress a smile that was breaking through anyway. He makes you happy, he said. Quiet. Just for her. He does, she said. Raymond picked up his drink. Then fine. He walked toward the kitchen door. Stopped. But I'm still watching. Raymond, Kezia said. What? Thank you, she said. For caring enough to be annoying. He was quiet for a second. That's literally just called being your brother, he said gruffly and walked back into the living room. Kezia leaned against the counter for a moment, smiling at the empty kitchen. Then she went back to her people. Weeks passed. The summer folded into September. The air in DC changed still warm, but with something cooler underneath, the first suggestion of fall. Kezia was not going back to Atlanta on the original schedule. She had extended her remote arrangement. She had found a sublet 2 neighborhoods over. Raymond had pretended to be neutral about this. Sana had screamed. Daejun had said, good, when she told him, in the same plain and direct way he said most things that mattered. She had learned that about him. The bigger something was to him, the quieter he got about it. On an evening in mid-September, they were at his apartment. She was working at the kitchen table. He was cooking something that had been simmering for an hour and smelled like it knew exactly what it was doing. She looked up from her laptop. He was standing at the stove, relaxed, unbothered, completely at home in his own kitchen, and somehow also just present. In the way that she had come to understand was just how he was. Not performing. Not trying. Just there. Daejun, she said. Yes, he said. I'm glad you didn't stop showing up, she said. He turned then. Looked at her across the kitchen. I told you, he said simply. I'm in. She looked back at her laptop. She was smiling in the way she had been doing more of lately, the kind that arrived without permission and stayed longer than expected. Outside, DC moved and breathed and carried on. Inside, something quiet and solid and real had planted itself in the space between two people who had found each other at exactly the right level of complicated. And that is their story. But before you leave, here's what this story was really about. Raymond loved his sister. He was not wrong to protect her. He was not wrong to ask hard questions of someone whose pattern had given him reason to worry. The lesson is not that protective people should stay out of it. The lesson is that protection and control are not the same thing. Raymond was right to ask, "Can you stay?" And he was wise enough, when the answer proved itself, to step back and trust what he saw. For Daejun, the lesson is this: your past patterns do not have to become your permanent story. But you have to show up differently. Not with words. With consistency. With respect. With honesty, even when honesty means walking through the front door instead of going around it. And for Kezia, who never once needed rescuing, who saw everything clearly from the start, the lesson is that being strong does not mean going it alone. She let Daejun in because he earned it. And she let Raymond be her brother because that was what he had always been. Real love, the lasting kind, is not about the feeling. It is about the decision to keep showing up after the feeling has been tested. If this story made you smile, share it with someone who needs to see it. If you are new here, subscribe. There is so much more where this came from. Comment below and tell me, were you Team Raymond or Team Daejun from the beginning? And did Raymond come around too easily, or did Daejun actually earn it? Drop your thoughts. I read every single one. See you in the next story.